Who scored?
Spain.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Still reflecting on the chance that Yamato granted for her by her perseverance. She had to take it first time. Couldn't find the target. Another change for Spain. And that is Redondo's final involvement as she is replaced. A chance to appear in a World Cup final, but even Navarro now playing down that right hand side instead. Sweden yet to make a change. Battleship. It is David Yamato. That's only partly way. Yes. Reasonable length, but readjust the body quickly enough.
She made her movement so fast to get in that area, but then it's hard to adjust your body, isn't it? To try and direct the ball to the goal.
By Abisham. That's early second half Swedish crosses. All dissipated in the last 10 minutes in terms of possession.
And again, I think that's not coincidental. I think it's the substitutions that Spain have made.
Chance here over Sweden. Stadius getting the better of Bonmati. Sets off of them. Wide of the She wanted to go across. Easily feel it. Stadius, she couldn't quite get the decisive contact that she needed. Races on. Was also decided she needs to come and take control. It's attempted delivery of the other end from the other route.
Martin, probably the best cross that she's put in all game.
Here's that double change for Sweden. Stephen Blackstadius has missed her chance. In the score sheet in the semi-final, that's a lifeline change. Rebecca Blomqvist. So a striker. So Wolfsburg in Germany. And Yamato is who can have got someone who's going to take to the lead as well. To be replaced by domestic based players like Trey Rosengard. What scored the fastest goal in that Swedish history did Scoot? 15 seconds. It's Moldova 8 years ago. Chess has been in the technical zone as much as on the pitch with the changes. Game that has ebbed and flowed side to the 11. Spain down the right hand of the bar. And Euro went down, ball still alive here for Calente. Tied up. Yeah, Anthony Euro and then immediately given away. Final semi-final. It's a good touch by Anthony.
Seven plus. Not so good.
No, why?
The what do you call it? The streaming service cocked up. They wouldn't have like the best service in the world. Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, it's free. Like, you know, what expensive.
There's probably lots of people watching right now.
Yeah,
too.
dude. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Please help me. One of the AI community's leading lights is Professor Warren. This is a robot head. Dissatisfied with vacuum cleaners and robot dogs, Kevin's gone one stage further. His cyborg comes complete with
radar in its nose and an infrared top lid.
is it intelligent?
Well, in a very limited way, I guess it is. It's sort of a basic instinct. What do I do with this information that I'm getting? How do I move? How do I operate if this signal is different?
What's it doing now?
Well, if you clap your hands,
Great, over here.
it's making basic decisions. All we've got to do is program to make basic decisions based on that sensory information that's coming in.
Getting the information in is nothing. That's like picking up a book. That's not an intelligent thing to do. Reading the book and knowing what the words mean, that's surely the intelligence.
Many machines can read books. However, maybe it means something different electronically to the machine as it would mean to the human.
Though the cyborg head does a reasonable job of sensing, it can't really interact with or explore its surroundings. It's far too blue or dark. And according to Kevin, it's only as intelligent as a dishwasher. If that's a dishwasher,
Yes.
where are these? In terms of, are they dolphins, chimps?
I think you'd have to say it's about the 50 to 100 grain cell area. So realistically, you're talking slugs and snails.
But a slug and a snail, they know to eat. They know these things don't.
They have some innate abilities.
There's no self-preservation with that.
Well, we do have this power supply. They don't have their own battery. They each have the power they're picking up from the floor here. That's where they're getting their energy. That's where they're getting their food.
If you turned off this section of the floor,
If we turn off this here, they have a basic instinct to go and look for some pellets.
they do that.
They do that until they find it.
So if I put you down,
It should go off.
so you'll have to go and look for that. Are you going to tell him to do that?
No, it's an innate response for that robot. It's the basic response. Yeah.
No, he's right to come back. The things that are as intelligent as slugs.
It is different, but in terms of numbers of brain cells and that sort of thing, if we have slugs, probably you could say we're up to bees and wasps, the sort of tens of thousands of brain cells, is about as good as you can get.
At the moment, in 2004, bees and wasps, right. It might be bees and wasps today, but Kevin has seen the future. He's convinced that the way forward for the human race is much more closely linked to machines than most of us would imagine. So one day, he went to hospital and had a plug socket surgically implanted in his wrist. What was the point of turning yourself into a human cyborg?
Well, it was looking at the future. Can we take the best bits of the human brain, the best bits of the machine brain, actually link them together, give humans extra abilities by linking directly with a machine?
So, you were there and you had what?
Yeah, well, this is exactly the same size. So, in my nervous system there was an array of 100 pins. It's a bit like an electrical plug with 100 points on it. That was fired into my nervous system.
And then that was connected to this hand.
Yeah, we came by the computer to this hand here. So that when I moved my hand, and my brain signals were moving my hand, they also went out to this robot hand and did the same thing. So my brain signals were operating my hand, but also operating the robot.
But could you feel what it was doing the other way around?
Well, we did that. Yeah, this has got little cognitive sensors on, and when they're gripping an object, we get signals from those sensors, and we fed those signals directly down onto
my nervous system,
Modify
directly into my
P2,
brain.
P1.
And it was funny, my brain always felt that it was opening and closing my hand. But it felt what the way my hand was feeling. Now you see, I find it astonishing, but the thing that doesn't scare me about intelligence is that we can always turn it off. I think if you're thinking of maybe this robot or maybe the little robot, what would it take? You can't turn it off, but how scary can it be? Well, the right thing to do is done. You have to start doing it. What kind of a machine are we going to have that can think for itself and that we can't turn off? Well, the military domain, you can see the direction is clearly to autonomous fighting machines that think for themselves, that make their own decisions.
You can actually see within 30 years the military having machines that can fight without any human input.
Oh, most definitely, yes. Yeah, most definitely.
What Kevin is talking about is this: tanks and planes with men on in them, just doing their own thing. And even I admit that is unnerving. But there's something even more worrying than that. What would happen if all the old, stupid computers we have now suddenly stopped working? Realistically, you need a lot of explosives to run the world, all computers. But for microprocessors, there's something even more devastating than EMP. EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. They say that if an EMP device was exploded here, 300 miles above us, anything containing a silicon chip would stop working. Europe would, in effect,
EMP.
be switched off.
And then
Oh, not the coffee machine. Oh, please, no. So, the EMP scenario. It's the latest Hollywood gimmick, really. Been used by everyone from Bond baddies to Matrix good guys via George Clooney and Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11. Thing is, though, would it actually work? Somewhere in England, there's a secret facility where the EMP death ray can be summoned up at a flick of a switch.
what does that mean?
An EMP strike would occur instantaneously. And what you're about to witness is EMP in slow motion. Inside the chamber, we can see what happens through specially hardened CCTV units. Our cameras wouldn't stand a chance. With the hapless PC entombed, the electromagnetic charge is racked up.
Carry on increasing the stress.
And here's the scary bit. You can switch the computer back on, but there's no point. It's gone mad.
Looks like it's not fire now. We've got a message saying invalid electronic serial number. That effectively gives us lots of identity. We get an error message saying that it cannot find the hard disk. This is symptomatic of something that the EMP event can cause, and that's a catastrophic failure.
EMP would mean the end of the Western world. It would mean no computers. This in turn would mean no electricity, no telephones, no cars. Supermarket shelves would empty, never to be replenished. aeroplanes would fall from the sky. To say that the computer has become a double-edged sword seems somehow inadequate. We worry about whether or not it's going to take over, and yet if the silicon servant in microprocessors were removed, we'd almost certainly descend into anarchy within the week. You can come, Jim. Remember what happened in New York after a minor power failure? Pandemonium. And that was small scale and temporary. It announced that the computer has changed our world out of all recognition in an incredibly short period of time. And it seems the really major developments are still to come. Pretty soon, they say, the useless idiot that sits on your desk crashing every 5 minutes will become truly benevolent, pandering to your every whim and fantasy. Well, that's what they say. But these are the people, remember, who promised that they would be wearing a baking foil suit by the year 2000 and living in times of pills. They said the world would be colonized in one lifetime, and my job would be a space helmet. So you'll forgive me if I remain a little bit skeptical about the claims being made for the future of the computer. Apart from anything else, I'm not sure that I want voice recognition or a laptop that says, "Hello, Jeremy," in an American accent every morning. And I definitely don't want anything PC inserted in me. Good night.
What year is that program released? Like, what year was that?
Oh, like early 2000s?
Early 2000. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's so ahead of time.
Oh, close.
My name's Dan Snow, and I'll tell you about history hits. It's like Netflix stage, hundreds of exclusive documentaries and interviews with the world's best history. We've got an exclusive available for fans of time. If you go to History Hits TV, follow the information below this here, or just do it. And you get a special country one. Go and check it out. In the meantime, enjoy it.
The untold story of war production. All wars are about competition production. The side that can produce more is always going to triumph over the other side. Hitler knows his needs industry needs to build a machine.
A war between the factories.
The real story of how the Second World War was fought and won.
This is true.
The United
United States is about to launch the single greatest program of armament production in human history.
Then swung to the other side with a tide of mass production.
The secret war of the factories that will decide the fate of the whole world.
Gotta get back to work.
Today, the Baltimore docks are quiet. The water is still, the quayside largely deserted. But on the 27th of September 1940, these docks were thronging with people. Thousands of workers gathered to celebrate the launch of a new ship, the first of a new kind of ship that will change the course of history. They will be called Liberty ships. Though they will play a key role in the Allied victory in World War II, only 3 Liberty ships survived. Captain Brian Hope is dedicated to preserving this incredible bit of maritime history.
Liberty ships are, the general category is a merchant ship. They're designed to carry cargo. 2/3 of all the cargo that left the United States during World War II is carried in Liberty ships. Every conceivable kind of cargo, from beans to wolves, absolutely crucial to the winning of the war. If you didn't have a merchant fleet, then no victory.
More than any other single vessel, the mass production of Liberty ships reflected the astonishing industrial might of America.
Today, we have a little less than 100 American flag merchant ships. At the end of World War II, we had slightly less than 6,000 ships. Our shipbuilding effort literally beyond belief.
At the end of the war, their work done, shipyards like this one would close or shrink. But in the war years, they would see a flurry of industrial activity, the likes of which the world has never seen before or since. The story of the American shipyard is the story of how the Allies won the war. But the story begins on the other side of the Atlantic. In the summer of 1940, Britain is fighting desperately to stay in the war. The speed of the German advance through northern Europe has caught the Western democracies completely off guard. France is falling, and Britain's skies are overrun with Nazi aircraft. The speed patrols day and night by more packs of ships and U-boats. In the summer of 1940, the German forces crossed the Channel, and they've got much greater access to their aircraft and their U-boats and warships via Norway or via the French coast. So suddenly the war is on loose. The threat goes up exponentially from 1940 onwards, particularly as Germany can produce more U-boats.
The U-boat campaign is the sinking of a very considerable proportion of all British ships and creates a potential crisis in the British Pacific War.
Britain is a small island nation cut off from Europe, desperately relying on trade in America. Its merchant fleet is its lifeline. Without imports of food and supplies, Britain will collapse. But in 1941 alone, German U-boats sink 1,300 ships. Month after month, hundreds of thousands of tons of British imports are being sent to the bottom of the sea. In desperation, Churchill turns to the Americans, the British new trade ships, and they need to advance. Though America is not yet at war, it's willing to help its closest ally. But American shipyards are too few and too busy. They have no merchant ships to spare. So the British offer to pay for the rapid construction of new shipyards. The man they turn to is Henry J. Kaiser.
In true American tradition, Kaiser is actually a completely self-made man. He had left school and skipped town when he was just 13. Within 10 years, he's running his own construction company.
Kaiser had been in the interwar period a sort of celebrity businessman. He worked on some of the great projects, these huge kinds of public projects which changed the landscape. One of the largest things ever built by man was the Hoover Dam.
Kaiser had no education and no training, but in the Hoover Dam he built one of the great man-made wonders of the world. He started out with nothing, but he had an incredible natural talent for organization and the sheer bloody-minded determination to get on.
sounds like a natural-born engineer to
British
me.
and American governments will turn to men like Henry Kaiser to build their armies and their fleets.
Henry Kaiser.
Mhm.
The war planning board and the administration make is that they are going to encourage companies to produce the goods material they need by making it profitable for them to do so, by offering them generous contracts and terms which will give them a massive financial benefit. So a large number of firms actually are set up on the back of taking on war contracts and then delivering the goods, so to speak. One of the best-known examples is the Henry J. Kaiser shipyards.
Kaiser offers to build shipyards and then ships. Kaiser has barely been on a ship, let alone built one. But then he didn't know anything about dams. That's what stopped him.
He's not naturally a shipbuilder, but he's used to big and ambitious projects. And what he sees is an opportunity now to take these skills and move them into shipbuilding.
Kaiser is not a qualified engineer, but understands the principles of mass production. Just needs a contract to prove that the same methods can be applied to ships. Kaiser meets with the British, who already have a design for a simple, basic frigate. Based on the SS Empire Liberty, these designs would inspire the largest single class of ship ever produced, the Liberty ship.
They're described by President Roosevelt as ugly ducklings. So they are blunt ships, they are crude ships, they have relatively austere accommodation, they don't have great seakeeping, great speed, but you can produce them quickly, they will take a volume of cargo for their size.
Kaiser tells the British he can build them large numbers of Liberty ships in record time, but only if he's allowed to do it his way. The British are skeptical. Britain is the world's great naval superpower. They've been building ships for hundreds of years. Henry Kaiser, a man with no shipbuilding experience, is telling them who to build. Nevertheless, Kaiser gets the contract and buys land to build a new shipyard here on the mud-flapped Richmond in San Francisco Bay.
Well, Kaiser is terribly ambitious and willing to take risks. It's what we do in organizations do to set up the infrastructure. And you're building ships. And he's willing to do that, starting in a sense from scratch, so he can change the productive process.
Kaiser is told by engineering experts that it will take 6 months to dredge the Santa Fe Channel and clear enough land to start work in the shipyard. Kaiser's men do it in 3 weeks. Incredibly, Kaiser built his first shipyard in just 3 months. It opens its gates in April 1941. It hasn't just gone up quicker than other shipyards. Ships will be made here like they've never been made before.
You can see an efficiency in having a production system that is designed from day one to deal with the bringing in and assembly of some components. Once this production line is running, it will be able to become rapid mass production.
Okay. I don't have enough screws.
Unlike any other shipyard in the country, because Kaiser is not a shipbuilder. Instead, he has modeled his yards on the warehouses of motor cities, and the production lines of Ford and General Motors. These automobile companies completely changed the game in their own industry, producing motor cars for mass consumption. The process they developed remains much the same today.
America has been turning out what we call any other economy, a large number of very standardized products in large scale. And those methods are then applied to wartime. So effectively, this is providing for manufacturing production techniques to the shipbuilding industry.
What the American production brings to further into what we know is the idea of welding. Putting on these rigs, you would actually need to set up torches and different kinds of heat sources to melt the metal together.
Riveting requires 4 men, welding only 2. It takes 6 months to train a riveter, but welding only 3. Welding allows Kaiser to turn shipbuilding into a production line, breaking up complex tasks into a series of simple ones. Instead of starting one ship at a time, Kaiser will mass produce them in sections, then weld them together.
Once you move to sectional construction welding, you can put together a wide range of places that are just pulled together.
Sounds like he revolutionized shipbuilding.
Yeah, World War II brought a bunch of shit.
I just said that. You just said what I said. So, problem solved.
Yeah.
It's good engineering, anyways.
Now, this new Liberty ship is assembled a bit like flat-pack furniture, piece by piece. 95% of each ship will be pre-assembled. But you've got to remember, a 14,000-ton ship has a lot of parts.
The finished hull of a Liberty ship is made of steel plates cut into no fewer than 435 shapes and sizes. Each ship contains 7,500 different mechanical components supplied by 600 different producers across the country. But by dividing up the production process and building ships in parts, the complex process is made simple.
What the Americans do is to apply the techniques that the American industry had already developed to the manufacturing goods, to the production of munitions and war supplies. And so it's the great triumph of American mass production capitalism.
Liberty ships have kept Britain alive and in the war. Soon they will be transporting supplies to American troops abroad, and vast numbers of American weapons and vehicles that help the Red Army.
Liberty ships are absolutely critical in keeping the Allies in the war. British fighter planes came over from America, Russian tanks, and most of them are carrying Liberty ships.
Captain Ryan Hope works aboard the Liberty ship, the SS John W. Brown in Baltimore.
The John W. Brown is 75 years old, and she's not a spring chicken anymore, but we keep her in as good a condition as we possibly can. The space is called the tween deck, which means it's between the main deck and the ship flow a hole.
Only on the inside of the Liberty ship does it scale.
There you go.
The SS John W. Brown staffed 45 merchant seamen and 41 Navy guards. Fully loaded, she could carry almost 3,000 troops.
There we go. This is the number 3 lower hole. This is one of the 5 cargo holes on the ship. Of course, it's empty now. We use it for storage, but when the ship was filled with cargo, the water line was way up near the top of this hole. This hole is actually one of the smaller holes on the ship, believe it or not. The purpose of the Liberty ship was to get cargo from the United States to the battlefronts. And the cargo was carried in these holes. This hole represents the victory for the Allies in World War II.
Across the Pacific, war is about to find America, whether they want it or not.
Okay. Is it?
The clear blue skies on the 7th of December 1941, almost 400 aircraft, launched from the force of 6 Japanese aircraft carriers, strike the American naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Thousands of U.S. servicemen and civilians secured the attack. 4 U.S. battleships are sunk, as well as 188 aircraft destroyed. This is far from the knockout blow that Japan was looking to land, but it serves to wake the United States from its non-intervention.
The United States is about the single greatest program of armament production in human history. America will never begin.
The USS Arizona Memorial, Pearl Harbor, on in the waters below lies the wreck of the Arizona, on which over 1,000 American servicemen lost their lives.
The attack on Pearl Harbor does not affect American small production. Really, in the long term, all it's done is catalogue all the information that people want to know to go to war and ensure that it's basically poked to their
Japan knows that if America can produce warships with the same mass production techniques they've used for the Liberty ships, they will be unbeatable. So
Japanese do see that the Americans have a vast rearmament program, which was funded by Congress to expand the Navy and the Army and the Air Force. But until that mobilization fully begins, which will be a couple of years, Japan had a window with its 10 carriers would have approximately parity at the opening with the Western power. Every month that you go past the second, the power ratio starts moving away from the Japanese.
4 days later, Germany declared war on the United States. Against all its best intentions, America has been dragged into yet another world war. In January 1942, Roosevelt addresses the nation. He announces a vast expansion of the American shipbuilding program.
A little idea of just what they accomplished in the attack at Pearl Harbor.
See the astonishing progress made by the Kaiser shipyards. Instead of the Navy building ships, he plans to open up American shipbuilding to private industry.
It was a way of thinking about more productive methods, a streamlined and competitive production market in which you have hardware, which continues to supply the needs of the market.
Roosevelt's New Deal had been anti-business. It had suppressed competition and confiscated profits, regulated output and prices. Now, faced with war, all of these government controls have been swept aside. In every other country, war brings more government control. In America, it brings more freedom. And the results are electrifying. As Kaiser wins orders, he'll need to attract tens of thousands more workers. But the Richmond shipyard is miles from any major town or city.
It was a demand, of course, for workers all war industries at the time. There truly was competition. There were great deals available to work in the aviation industry for the airplane. So the workers were offered better deals than coming over to India.
To attempt to uplift the shipyard, Kaiser introduces a healthcare scheme covering them and their families' medical costs for 80 cents a week.
91% of employees described, making it the largest voluntary health plan in America.
Kaiser Healthcare begins as the last company's
That's where it came from.
Kaiser Health.
Kaiser Permanente. I used to have a Kaiser Permanente healthcare plan.
Kaiser Permanente. Cool, smart businessman. Must be a genius.
Workers flock to Kaiser shipyards from all over America. This sudden explosion of industry is providing jobs in numbers the United States haven't seen since the Great Depression.
Okay.
As Henry Kaiser's shipyard expands, the population of the surrounding areas the town of Richmond experiences a population growth of over 600% in just 2 years. By 1943, it's grown to a town of 150,000. Kaiser and the Maritime Commission start work on the construction of 23,000 new homes to cope with the sudden migration of workers to the Richmond area.
It didn't just involve putting up houses for 30,000 people in the middle of nowhere. This meant creating infrastructure of ferries, buses, trains, anything nearby to help move people in order to get them to factory.
Richmond shipbuilders average more than 4 letters per car.
Because of the shift pattern that everyone's working, it means that cinemas, restaurants, bars, shops will need to be open 24/7. It really did create a lively place to be.
It was clear that the workers were exceptionally well. They advertised to a great extent all over the country for people to come work in the shipyard. A lot of black workers were recruited from the South, and they moved up the Baltimore. They were integrated very well into the workforce. There was a large proportion of the shipyard. Maybe close to 25% of the workers were female, and they did just about every job
ships. Daycare centers were introduced to look after the children. Women are free to work alongside their husbands, often for the first time in their lives. New schools are opened as well, and filled almost instantly by the children of shipyard workers. This is a time of incredibly rapid social change. America's Great Depression is finally coming to a close. In 1933, only 50,000 shipyard workers had been employed. 10 years later, 1.7 million people are working in shipyards across the world.
Funnily enough, standards of living in the United States actually increased dramatically after the beginning of the war. Everyone is employed, and wages have risen year on year. Actually, this is truly a sort of rebirth for America.
But on the other side of the ocean, the Japanese stranglehold over the countries of the Asian Pacific grows ever tighter.
The Japanese are obsessed by I think they have a small island country with limited resources, and they believe to equal to a great power, which is where they should be in the world, and that they must have
Today, Tokyo is one of the largest cities on the planet. Now, as in 1940, built-up urban areas cover the islands of Japan. Like Britain, wartime Japan is not self-sufficient, either in food or raw materials. Instead, it would extract the supplies it needs from the populations of its new overseas colonies in China, Korea, and Southeast Asia.
The Japanese are quite ruthless in how they get hold of all the raw materials and food that they need, in that they just go out and pinch it from everywhere in the Pacific. And they're utterly reliant on their own merchant fleet to bring it home.
To feed itself and maintain its empire, Japan needs to control Pacific shipping lanes. Without its merchant fleet, Japan's empire will collapse.
What the Allies swiftly realised is that if they can disrupt Japanese supply lines, just as the U-boats have done before, they'll be completely unable to sustain their war. There are many overseas colonies that are going to counter.
America does have submarines with the range required to reach the Japanese merchant fleet, 4,000 miles away. It doesn't have many of them. This is the Gator class.
The Gator class submarines have been around since the beginning of the war, and the Americans have only produced a handful of them. And the reason is that they're completely labour intensive and not geared up for mass production at all.
For mass production to make economic sense, you need to be producing large numbers of identical items or machines. So if you're going to invest huge amounts of money in machine tools that only produce parts in small numbers, it's simply not worth the investment. That's common sense.
When the designs are finalised, that's when we begin sending prototypes out to manufacturers, and to get them done in sufficient numbers and create a submarine fleet from scratch, they're going to have to employ crisis methods.
Before long, 5 different contractors are mass-producing Gators across the country. The first Gator was completed in November 1941. In January 1942, American shipyards are producing 2 Gators a month. By the summer, they are sending out a new Gator every 8 days. The Gator class is America's first mass-produced submarine. The impact on the Japanese merchant fleet is felt immediately. Dozens of merchant ships are lost in a few months, disrupting Japanese supply lines and damaging military production. Submarines account for less than 2% of US naval vessels, but they will be responsible for 30% of all Japanese ships.
In the United States, submarines are hugely important weapon of the East. They essentially destroyed Japanese capacity to transport goods and troops.
Large parts of the Japanese empire are relatively separated from Japan long before the end of the war. The Japanese ability to produce anything at home and even to feed the home island is falling catastrophically.
For the loss of only 52 submarines, the fleet wipes out over 1,000 Japanese ships, half their merchant fleet, 5 million tons of vital Japanese ships. But to hit mainland Japan directly, something else, something bigger. In the autumn of 1942, Roosevelt visits Kaiser's shipyard in Oregon. By now, Kaiser and the Liberty ship's success had become a national sensation. Roosevelt's tour of the yard was like a victory parade. Addressing the crowd, the president says,
I wish that every man, woman, and child in the United States could have been here today to see that lordship and realize what it means in the winning of this war.
At the start of 1942, the construction of the Liberty ship had taken an average of 210 days. By May, 156. By July, 106. And some are producing. Henry Kaiser is becoming a national celebrity.
Dave Kaiser, the miracle shipbuilder, shows how his yard
Miracle shipbuilder.
Miracle man.
2 weeks. Now you're talking about ships being turned out, after just over a month from the starting of a ship to getting it to sea in order to fit it out.
In 1942, Germany produces 244 major vessels. Japan, only 68. But this is dwarfed by the effort of the US shipyard, which produced an incredible 1,854.
Liberty ships have been great for keeping Britain and her allies in the war in terms of going across the Atlantic. Once the war in the Pacific explodes, they're no longer enough. Kaiser shipyards are going to have to up their production significantly once again.
Pearl Harbor showed that naval warfare had changed. A modern navy needs planes. Battleships on their own are slow and vulnerable.
The battleship's day passed. The battleship was studied with foreign beaches and
Yeah.
To up their production significantly once again.
Pearl Harbor showed that naval warfare had changed. A modern navy needs planes. Battleships on their own are slow and vulnerable.
the battleship's day passed. The battleship was studied to bombard beaches, but in terms of ship-to-ship combat, aircraft carriers were now the key weapons. So what Kaiser wants to show is that Yamato goes as well.
The need for aircraft carriers is obvious. Carriers are enormous. The Essex class, the United States Navy ship, is 900 feet long. It weighs 30,000 tons and has a crew of 2,500 men. A single carrier this size takes literally years to build. A war in the Pacific will not wait.
As the war goes on, though, these ships will take several years to produce and can only be in a handful of places working with the main battle fleet. So you start looking at what are called escort carriers. So they're much smaller, and they're operating perhaps 20 aircraft compared to the 60 or 70 aircraft on a fleet carrier.
Kaiser offers to build the Navy aircraft carriers the same way he builds Liberty ships. They'll be smaller than the Navy's existing carriers, but Kaiser will build many more of them at a much faster rate.
Kaiser is a self-made man, very rich man, very successful man, and there's consequently a lot of ego and bravado that goes with him. And when he goes to put a bid in front of the US Navy to produce escort carriers, he just rubs them completely up the wrong way, with the result that they just turn him down flat. Kaiser has spent his entire career schmoozing Washington, so being rejected by the head of the Navy board is great. So all he does instead is to set up a meeting with Roosevelt and have another chat, and then with the instant result that he's got a contract to produce 50 escort carriers.
Kaiser's new mass-produced escort carriers would be known as Casablanca class carriers. The Kaiser shipyard set to work immediately, organizing the most efficient production line possible for their new carriers. Every ship will be standardized, every part mass-produced, each ship running with reciprocating steam engines with 4 boilers. No variation, no frills, with lighter armor and increased speed.
Again, they can be made in a much wider range of shipyards, following the example of things like the Liberty ships. You're producing a simple ship that you can put a simple flight deck on, and you can operate for a
production of small ships rather than the building of very few very large ships.
Shipbuilders build ships. They don't do lighting, they don't do radar, and they don't do radios. Within the ship's enormous outer shell, a vast infrastructure of electrical components needs to be provided. To assemble the inner workings of their ships, naval yards across the country turn to manufacturing giant General Electric.
They churned out a lot. Ships' radios, searchlights, winches, ammunition hoists. They even organised ventilation, steering control, and even radar equipment. Now, this coordination and cooperation between companies simply does not happen in a planned economy. What Kaiser says is that we need someone producing the lighting for his ships, and he goes straight to General Electric. He needs electrical components for cranes, he goes to General Electric.
The Kaiser shipyards can only run because of this coordination with their many hundreds of subcontractors.
The first aircraft carrier to be launched from the yard of Henry Kaiser. Now, geared for mass production, America's miracle shipbuilder promises to deliver 6 carriers a month.
General
6
Electric
carriers.
and Kaiser shipyards keep to their deadline. They produce a staggering 50 escort carriers in 2 years. Over the course of the entire war, Japan only produces 7. Kaiser breaks all records. More Casablanca carriers are built than any other kind of aircraft carrier before or since, and they wreak havoc in the Pacific. US fighter planes swarm the slow and hulking Japanese battleships. This is Chukubu. It was once the main base for the Japanese Imperial Fleet. It is now home to the Ghost Fleet.
Operation Hailstone, like I say, is began to Pearl in 1944. 540 American aircraft take off from carriers and proceed to destroy the Japanese fleet.
Over 200,000 tons of Japanese shipping is lost to the bottom of the sea, and 17,000 tons of fuel destroyed. Operation Hailstone is the death knell for the Japanese fleet. The next step for the Americans will be invasion, but getting to dry land won't be so easy. By the middle of the war, American military production is dwarfing that of Japan. In 1943, Japan produces 122 major naval vessels. America builds a staggering 2,654. Identical ships with identical walkways unload identical stores in identical ways. Under this new production program, crews and troops need less familiarization and can operate more efficiently. But the fighting in the approach to Japan is brutal. In their advance across the islands of the Pacific, each landing is like breaching a castle. As the Allied troops try to land their ships on Japanese beaches, they're greeted with volleys of bullets. It's a bloodbath.
Once you move to the Pacific, you can isolate the islands that the Japanese forces are on, but there's no deception about where you get to land, and generally there are very limited areas.
In the Pacific, as the Americans realized, you have coral atolls, you have much more difficult landing operations, often sort of smaller, patchier beaches.
Reefs just offshore from the beach that can wreck normal landing craft coming in.
The landings in Taro in 1943 ended up being a disaster because they simply don't have the right charts. Troops get stranded, they get machine gun in the water, they never get ashore.
In the first stages of amphibious invasions, monthly US casualties increased by 1,000%. Something must be done to limit the American losses, and fast. The solution lies with a hard-drinking Irishman named Andrew Jackson Higgins, who lived and worked here in Bayou Country, Louisiana. Throughout the 1920s and 30s, Higgins had supplied the developing oil and gas wells. To service these sites, he had designed and built several shallow draft craft capable of carrying heavy loads in depths of less than 2 feet of water.
Now, Higgins has read about the problems faced by the American troops. in those early Pacific landings. And he realizes that these boats of his could be the answer. They can actually save American lives.
Higgins boats are tested, effective, and can be easily mass-produced. But once again, the government's monolithic military bureaucracy has other ideas.
Somewhat predictably, you've got these bureaucrats at the US Navy Board who are absolutely determined to use the landing craft that they'd commissioned and designed internally, despite the fact that they were obviously bad. So what they do is they continue to purchase thousands of these inferior, internally designed ships, even though it's costing American lives. Now, this is a theme that you see going on throughout the entire war. You've got this real pushback of army bureaucrats against the expansion of military production into the private sector. Now, that, of course, is going against men like Higgins and Kaiser, who really know what they're doing.
But Higgins, like Kaiser, is not easily beaten. He demands that Congress investigate the Navy Board and wins a hearing with Senator Harry Truman.
Truman himself was no great fan of the New Deal. And Truman was certainly on the side of the conservative Democrats in the 1940s and thought that the staunch Roosevelt Democrats had gone too far with government regulations.
Truman called for a head-to-head operational test, the Navy's boat versus Higgins.
So what happens is when they pitch the two designs up against each other, everything that Higgins would have wished for happens. So he shows the Navy designers up as vastly inferior. His design dazzles everybody.
Truman is stunned by the corruption of the Navy Board. He launches a full-scale investigation and concludes that the Navy Board have shown a flagrant disregard for the facts, if not the safety and success of American troops. Higgins is awarded the contract to mass-produce his design.
D-Day happens in June 1944. A few weeks later, the United States invades the Marianas Islands, Saipan to Guam. They send a naval force to try to find water to invade those islands, and they send to D-Day.
The US fleet has already grown to become the largest ever assembled. They're transporting hundreds of thousands of troops and tens of thousands of tanks, trucks, and transports. The problem is how to get this vast floating army ashore.
You need to build more complex landing craft that can carry heavy loads, and you need to build those in a way that had never been conceived of before. And Kaiser, yet again, begins to involve himself in the building of these more intricate landing craft.
The solution is the landing ship tank.
LST is a landing ship tank, and it's one of the best inventions of the war. They were designed, but they were manufactured in Kaiser shipyards. They're monsters. They're capable of holding 20 tanks, 27 vehicles, and almost 200 men.
These ships are 100 meters long and sturdy enough to transport dozens of heavily armored vehicles. The construction of this kind of ship will be no simple task. The building of LSTs is listed absolute top priority. The shipyard set to work immediately. Orders for materials have already been placed before the design is even completed. And before a test vessel has even been constructed, the blueprints are sent off and the contracts brought over and awarded. The Kaiser shipyards take one of the largest.
Lateral planning is useful because it enables the whole production process to be much more nimble. If you have a rigid plan with fixed targets, rigid designs as to what you're going to produce, how you're going to produce it, then if something unexpected happens, or you find that something you're doing is not working, it's very hard to change course, to suddenly reallocate resources, retool factories. The whole system has a policy of much greater flexibility.
April the 1st, 1945. The Americans are ready to launch what could be the decisive battle. The Battle of Okinawa, the largest amphibious assault in the Pacific theater of war. 1,457 landing craft and warships approached the island of Okinawa.
The size of the American force landing at Okinawa is astonishing. The battle lasts almost 3 months, and in that space of time, 20,000 Americans and 110,000 Japanese are killed. It's the bloodiest battle of the Pacific War.
From here, the Americans had their platform to reach the Japanese mainland. On August 15, 1945, Japan surrenders.
Wow.
The history of World War II is often depicted as a story of generals and wartime leaders of competing military strategies. But more than any war before or since, the Second World War was a war of production. And it would transform America, leaving it with a role on the world stage it had not wanted.
During the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States had 4 aircraft carriers. By the end of the war, they had over 100.
These are extraordinary epochal transformations in the capacity of the United States to act at a world level. By the end of the war, the US Navy was very much larger than it's a great world historical transition that takes place.
On the morning of the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States Navy had 17 battleships, 8 aircraft carriers, 112 submarines, and no amphibious vehicles. A total of 790 active naval military vessels. By VJ Day, the Navy had expanded to 23 battleships, 99 aircraft carriers, 232 submarines, and 2,547 amphibious vehicles. A force of staggering size, totaling 6,768 active naval military vessels. The US Navy accounted for 70% of the total naval force on the planet. But at the end of the war, the Richmond shipyard shut down. So did Bethlehem Fairfield. They worked at breakneck speed for 4 years. They had changed the course of the war and of history. But their task was complete.
The American shipbuilding program is symbolic of America's pioneering spirit of industry at the time. 1.7 million Americans worked in shipyards during World War II. Today, that figure's dropped off by 95%, about 100,000.
It was truly an impressive operation. We couldn't do it today. We couldn't even manage the paperwork today in the length of time that they built ships back then. It was pretty amazing.
While the United States Navy today is only a fraction of its size in 1955, it remains a dominant force in the world's oceans and seas.
My name's Dan. I'll tell you about a history it's like 2025 the market has the potential to be always on. It can sound a long way off, but behind the scenes there are plenty of silly season machinations going on in the F1 paddock. Let's try to see the move more attention to consolidate their positions for 2025. Right now, there's the possibility that every single team could change the reason for the driver. McLaren is perhaps the exception because it has had no noise contract 2025 and presumably has an option on the Astri services. That means we may see one of those seasons when the grid is reshuffled dramatically. It's impossible to know exactly how it will all play out, but we can identify the drivers who will be significant players in shaping the 2025 driver market. And one of the key players might surprise you.
Actually.
As with any silly season, there's some obvious big names who could be on the market. Lewis Hamilton's status even for 2024 is still not confirmed, although he is expected to stay with Mercedes. Both Ferrari drivers are out of contract for 2025, and there's uncertainty about Sergio Perez and Red Bull. There's another driver called Battleship who is perfectly placed both to be a key piece on the driver market chessboard and a position for a big move, and that's He's only contract with that means he's a for 2025. Staying with Williams is perfectly possible, and it wouldn't be a bad place to be given the progress it's making. But our will turn 29 in March 2025. That doesn't exactly make him an old man in F1 terms, but it is firmly in age. He is a bad Williams, and he's not in front. Williams will probably take 2 altogether. Albert has been easily impressive Williams did in this season. Last year, he built himself as an orphan with a driver after his medical struggles and established himself as team leader. This year, he's built on that and then won the start of the season.
I want to take a last look at the interior before I put the ship off. I put this side on now. But look at the interior.
Wait, what?
Some of the layers, like inside.
So you can, it's got built inside it.
It's got built inside them. And then I'm just gonna like seal it down to ready seal at the side so you can see the interior. But all of them are like,
Oh, wow.
it's really cool. Now I'm gonna cover this part too. It's like, wow. I'm not gonna glue it this time, just gonna screw it on so we can unscrew and see the inside. Okay.
That's so much cooler than your other one.
I think so.
Yeah.
Aston Martin said the vacancy would be wise to look at Albert. He may be good for the choice, particularly for race Alonso or the stars of favoured. He could definitely make the shortlist and be in for a chance. Albert would also be a great choice as a leader for an ambitious field at the same time because Sauber had his transformation into the university in 2026. Alpine has been interested in Albert's services before, while Sauber CEO saw him as a good option in the days of
Actually, do have to glue it.
We'll have to wait to see how several other key decisions play out. Primarily, the big names at the front of the field will be targeted by their teams before it becomes clear.
See.
And therefore hasn't had any chance of a big move. And that's a fantastic place to be for a driver who was on the sidelines in 2021. It might look less obvious on paper, but one move that could open up for Albert to return to being Max Verstappen's own teammates. The Red Bull racing discussions did dominate by Daniel Ricciardo, Ness and Sergio Perez last, because Ricciardo's season return to F1 grid has triggered a lot of talk about the move to replace Perez when his contract ends after 2024. Sooner. But there's a strong case for Red Bull needing to be considered a driver it's only done 2 years ago, and Albert was a telling idea. Red Bull demoted Albert to the reserve driver in 2021 after a very good 2020 alongside Verstappen, as Albert has thrived at Williams since leaving Red Bull and rejoining the grid in 2022. Albert was thrown into the deep end of Red Bull racing when he was promoted from Toro Rosso to replace the misfiring Pierre Gasly just halfway through Albert's rookie season. The first time he tried to was that year's pre-season test. Red Bull helped Albert regard his approach and believe in his ability, but having given him every chance to prove himself in 2020, reluctantly had to accept that it wasn't working. That left him to drop him, but there is always thought the potential coming back. Albert, who severed his ties with the company ahead of this season, isn't afraid of returning to it. He's more mature as a person and a driver than he was in 2020, and feels he will handle that situation very differently now. That's something Red Bull has taken notice of too, and senior figures there retain a good relationship with Albert, who was always very popular inside the team. Red Bull also suspects that if Perez is replacing either in 2024 or 2025, and Ricciardo doesn't have a case, one of its junior problems proved itself to be a required standard to handle Verstappen. That's a revitalised Albert. That's insensitive Red Bull. As for Albert, when the interview was just before the second break, he made it very clear he's not scared of going back into the top team like Red Bull, or an environment where he's slotted as the number 2 and needs to prove himself. He says he backs himself and talks of his experience as proving to the driver, meaning, I am not afraid of that capacity. He would rather back himself to succeed there than settle for the comforts of being big fish in a small pond. 2025 should be a far more lively driver market. We've explained why Albert will be one of the key players, but his opportunity will depend on decisions made by the names. So let's have a look at how the driving market is shaping up. Based on the race's understanding, this is how drivers are set in terms of contracts. Note that the dates we've included here are the point where their contracts are firm. Many have options that may or may not be beyond that point, but this is the year up to which we can be absolutely certain a driver will continue. For example, it's understood to be an option for 2025 alongside Gasly's deals, but crucially for Albert, if he wants to leave Williams again in 2024, he is inspired first key question to be answered is that of the Hamilton site. Mercedes deal, which he is expected to, and if so, yes, unless Mercedes unexpectedly loses faith in Russell, that means Mercedes will stay unchanged. There's also the rest of the question, is Perez's future a constant route? Ferrari would be determined to get Charles Leclerc to sign a new contract given his policies, while it would also be wise to get Carlos Sainz on the team, as doubly important given Sainz is of interest to Audi. If either leaves Ferrari, that could create an opportunity for either, even if he's looking behind the big names in the queue, and he will hope won't be available. Lance Stroll's future appears secure given his father Lawrence owns the team and is expected to stay on next year. However, there have been rumours from British broadcasters now Sports F1 that he could be considering walking away at the end of next year. As for Alonso, it seems inevitable he will stay on in 2025, provided he is still performing well. Based on current form and the fact the plans should be unstable, those are the key decisions that will decide what opportunities will open up for Albon. But the fact is, whatever happens, there's sure to be at least some good opportunities for him, and possibly some great ones. In the meantime, he just has to hang that, see how things play out, and keep accelerating for Williams.
In the Cold War, information is power. The vision of future is States of America conceived of ways to obtain information that will see them gain an edge in technological success. So there's little kind of existential threat of the Cold War held it to act. Almost by accident, the underlying infrastructure that we see today. Dated election manifest through espionage, deception, and invention.
There were Russian specialists gathering information on new American ways of warfare to produce countermeasures.
High altitude spy planes and space satellites observe military maneuvers and state safety. Global communication networks and espionage technology go on to inspire the technology of the digital age. The Cold War, a decade-long struggle between two superpowers and former allies, the United States of America and the Soviet Union. And beyond the ideological divide of capitalism and communism, is a battle of another kind, one of technological supremacy.
How we're going to rise, grow, and
Experimentation with nuclear power, innovation of quantum technology, exploitation of scientific literature.
The entire space program, you could argue, was the creature of the Cold War.
A race for scientific supremacy that lifts humanity beyond Earth's atmosphere, drags the world to the brink of nuclear annihilation, and launches decades of research into scientific and engineering marvels that continue to define the modern world. Gathering intelligence on an enemy has been a feature of war throughout the ages. During the Cold War, information gathering offers military and ideological advantages. Means being able to develop nuclear weapons, intercontinental missiles, supersonic. Being able to gather information or not could be the difference between victory and
Wonder.
in an age before high-tech technology, were allowed us to most people are very dreary. And the race to develop there'll be investment bills in nuclear weapons research and development programs in Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States.
So the way we consider the United States had an atomic bomb, meaning it was the only country on Earth that had its own atomic weapon. And for military leaders, this was a secret. It had to be guarded. They did this through classified